prayed. And God has given me a word for us to see. And actually, it's a reiterated word. And so tonight, the title of my message will be The Carnal State of Mind. And my first question to everyone is, where is your mind? I remember when we were coming up in church, y'all remember that song that says, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus? The question is, did you? Or is your mind all over the place? Because when we open our eyes, every morning our mind really should be on Jesus. Because by him waking us up, that lets us know that he was mindful of us. And the word tells us that he's mindful of us. Now, as I stated, my topic is carnal state of mind. So we're going to go into that sector of the world a little bit. But I'm going to bring you back around to the word. So, for this generation, we all know the artist named Jay-Z. He had a song out a few years ago called New York State of Mind. Now, this particular song, he proceeds to say how good girls have gone bad. They give up their bodies just to be famous, and they get out of bounds quick. This is lyrics from this song. Okay, and then he says, Jesus can't save. Life starts when the church ends. Now, I never knew all these words were in this song because I never listened to it. I just know about the hook of the song because they do it in commercials and everything else. But I really didn't know that the song had all this stuff in it. And then he says things gradually become worse. Don't bite the apple, Eve. This is in the song. And I was like, he's referencing God, telling the people, thousands of people, that Jesus can't save you. Y'all seen his concerts and stuff, and know what they show on TV. And then he talks the reference with Eve. And I said, this is the Holy Spirit was showing me, like, this is the deception of the apple, or what New York is known for, the Big Apple. So let's since he want to reference Eve, we're gonna reference her too. So let's go to Genesis 3. Genesis 3, and we're going to start at verse 4. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doeth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And what I really wanted to point out, the part was when she took of the apple, and then their eyes were opened. See, when we put our mind or looking at the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, see, our mind is set on stuff that shouldn't be, and then when that happens, we don't consider the consequences. She would have never thought in a million years, when they took a bite of that apple, that it would cause them death. She would have never thought that. Just like he said in his song, when people go to New York, all you seeing is the big lights You think, oh, that's some place I would want to be. But they don't tell you about the bad part of New York. Just like with any city, they don't tell you about the gutters and the slum and the projects. They don't tell you about that. They show you the good part because they're trying to entice you to come here. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. The carnal state of mind is like you're not thinking right. You're thinking with the flesh. You ain't thinking with the spirit. So we should be setting our mind on the things above. Let's go to Colossians 3 that talks about that. Colossians 3 and 2. Set your affections on the things above and not on the things on earth. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Christ. When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then ye shall appear also with him in glory. Mortify, therefore, your members which are upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, indoctrinate affection, evil conspicuousness, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which these things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, and in which ye also walked sometime when you lived in them. But now ye also put off these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthiness, communication out of your mouth. Lie not to one another, seeing that you have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Renewed in knowledge. This is us coming to get an understanding of the things of God. Don't think just because you heard something one time that you got it. Your knowledge, it always has room to be improved, to gain more knowledge. Don't always think that we got it or we done figured God out, because you can't figure him out. So the next generation, which will be our generation, whatever age that is, I guess now will be maybe 40 to 55, something like that. They had a song by En Vogue called Free Your Mind. And that the hook to that song will be Free Your Mind and the rest will follow. Now this song is talking about, different prejudice and the judgment of people. So if your mind, if you wouldn't concern yourself with others, then if your mind was free, let me relax. If your mind was free, you wouldn't concern yourself with others. Now who the Son has set free is free indeed. And I looked up what the word indeed meant. And it meant actually, truly, certainly. And the one that really set me on fire was undeniable. You ought to know it. You'll know when you're free. And we allow too many unnecessary distractions to enter our lives and our minds. And now the next song that I'm going to bring to your remembrance. Now this song is for our seasoned group of people. And it's by the Delphonics. And the Delphonics song is called Didn't I Blow Your Mind? The first lyrics to this song says, I gave my heart and soul to you. Now you need to give your heart to Jesus, and your soul, which is your sanctification, has to be worked out by the hearing of the word and the renewing of your mind, which is Romans 12 and 2. Now there's a lot of songs out there that talk about, the mind, as do the word of God. And I wonder why, when I was looking at those songs, I was like, God, there's a whole bunch of songs out here about this, by some of everybody, talking about what's on your mind and all this kind of stuff, but we indoctrinate ourselves with songs, we rehearse them, and what we really should be rehearsing is the word of God, praying and attending church. Because we can play a old school song and everybody would know it instantly. We don't even have to look at the paper to know what the words say. We will automatically know it because it's down in us. Now, on the same token, the word should be down in us as well. So let's turn to Genesis 19. Genesis 19, starting at verse 12. Now this is the Sodom and Gomorrah story, and I kind of got bits and pieces from this. It's not going to be about the whole story, but this is what it's in referencing to. So we're going to start at Genesis 19, verse 12. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-laws, thy sons, thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city? Bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them has waxen great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his sons-in-law. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And the subtitle I got for this is Lot versus the world. And the reason for that now is because it's now us versus the world. And a lot of times I ask God, why did he take me to Sodom and Gomorrah for this subject of the carnal state of mind? And he said, because that's who we are now. That's what the world is looking like now. So I said, okay, carry on. So we're going to go back to verse 12 and 13. 12, and the men said unto Lot, Hasten there, here any besides thee, your son-in-laws and the daughters, whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of the place. For we will destroy this place, because of the cry of them waxing great before the Lord, and the Lord has set us to destroy it. What they did right here, what he was telling them right here, is God was showing me that they insulted God by doing and living the way that they were living. That's an insult to God, to be living that way. In verse 14, when he tried to get his son-in-laws to come away from there, they thought he was a joke. They didn't believe him. And they didn't want to come, so they had to be left behind. And a lot of times, we assume that we have the time. And when we're offered the chance to be saved, and like them, they refused and was left behind and ultimately destroyed, the same thing will sadly happen again for some people now. But so Christ is offered all the time. I know here every Sunday, every time the church is open, he's offered, he's extended. And a lot of people leave out of here the same way, and then one day it's going to be too late, just like it was here for them. Verse 15 and 16. When the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise. And what I want to get out of that is, even after the angels, the men urged him to leave, he still lingered to the point where they had to remove him themselves. And the question is right here is, what was holding him there? I wonder what was really holding him there. And the question to you all is, what's holding you in a place of sin where you are whether it's in your thoughts or in your flesh. What's holding you there? In verse 17, it says, and it came to pass when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, escape for thy life. Don't look behind thee. This is about your life and living. Don't look back at what was or what you think you're leaving behind. Some things we need to leave behind. Some things we need to leave behind. And we're reaching, and but this one thing I do, according to Philippians 3:13, says, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before me. So, with that being said, life can bring us unsuspected circumstances. And in a moment's time, you got to make a quick, fast, and a hurried decision. Do I want to stay here? Do I want to live here? Do I want to be here? And that's where you got to make up your mind is, do you want to leave things behind? Do you want to change? Do your mindset want to change? Do you want to move forward in life? You have to renew your mind at some point in your life if you expect change to happen. Verse 26. I'm going to drop down to verse 26, which kind of goes with 17. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. What did she need so badly that was behind her? Lot's wife did what some of us would do, in that she looked back with the desire to go back. Sometimes living in the past will destroy your future. It's okay to look back, but don't go back. The carnal state of mind will keep you held back and held down if you do not get it in check and lined up with the Word of God. In my closing, we'll go to Romans 8. Romans 8 and 5. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God. For it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please God. You cannot please God when you're in the flesh. No way. That's exactly right, Sister Ethel. No way that you can please God. Now I can understand why he got mad at Sodom and Gomorrah. Because you insulted me. And on top of that, you're not pleasing me with your ways. And the same thing goes for us these days. Is that when we live a carnal lifestyle, knowing we know what the words say, we're not pleasing God when we live in the flesh. And right here it says, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Who don't want peace in their life? Who don't want peace in their life? I know I do. And I can say that I have peace in my life. It amazes me, the peace that I have in my life, because at one point in time I didn't. And so I understand what it is to have peace in my life. And the one word I took out of this was the enmity towards God, which really just it's like an ouch moment for me, because what that word means, and some of us on some level have done this. This is what God is saying that we have towards him. Animosity, hostility, hatred, resentment, bitterness against God when we're in our carnal state of mind. That's what he's saying. That's what it makes him feel like when we are in a carnal state of mind. Now, on some level, as Pastor has taught us, that this is a baby Christian, a carnal Christian, and, the seasoned or spiritual Christian. Now, the baby and the carnal Christian, that should be only for a season in your life. You're not expected to stay on those two levels. Because when you have a baby, you don't expect the baby to stay 2 years old all his life. You know that the baby's going to grow up because you're teaching it, you're grooming it. And the same thing with the word. When we are coming to church like we should and praying like we should and reading the Bible like we should, then we're growing in the grace and the knowledge of the word, and we should be growing. There's no way we should be carnal. Do we want to get in our flesh? Yes, sir. Every day. That's what Paul said, we die daily, because some people can say stuff or do something to make you mad, whether it's your folks, the people you work with, or anybody can take you there, because sometimes we be in our little funky moods, whether we want to admit it or not, and somebody will say something and we will want to snap, and we in our flesh. But if we are spiritually minded, we can't do that. We can't do that. As much as we want to, we can't do that. So my subject, the carnal state of mind, I pray that we as a people, as a church, get out of that state. And I pray that I said something to bless you all tonight.